right? And, well, even worse, the clowns who believe it. If anyone thinks this person's real, I don't mean like he's a clone, right? Like, I mean, he's real, yeah, he's a real person, and he might believe a lot of it, but he's fucking, if anyone believes that, he's for real. People say, oh, I changed his name so what, that doesn't mean outlaw, it's called Stephen Christopher Yaxley Lennon, right? He's just an agitator. He's there, right, supposedly against the Muslim gangs who are grooming young girls for sex, and, right? And protesting against the leniency or whatever he believes they're getting shown and blah 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 blah. If he's a proper journalist, as he claims, why is he not going to speak to the Asian community and ask them how did they feel about a small tiny percentage of their community making the rest of them look so bad, and what can he do to like stop that happening within their community, and integration? Why does no one approach it from these angles? Why is it always him stood there ranting at them as they're going into court, stirring up people's feelings? And he has a football thug's name, he chose a football thug's name, and look at his hairdo and all that, and teeth. And he admits to being pro-Israel. There's footage of him drunk, ranting about Israel and shit, and saying Israel first, and just stuff like that. He's just a clown. So anyone who falls for him, you're a clown and all. And they're laughing at you. Anyone who believes this guy or gets triggered by him, right? I know I'm getting triggered by him, but not in that way. I can see what he is. Well, part of what he is. Flawed. And you get another flawed. It's all frauds. All frauds, people. You know this, right? I'm not telling you you don't know, but this is why we're not progressing anymore. They used to have to allow certain countries, to progress to certain levels. Society had to be lifted and people had to be educated to certain levels because they were pushing forward with technology and what they could and couldn't do, and fucking about with all the elements and being alchemists. So they needed societies to get to certain levels. They needed like people to have that freedom of thought to a certain degree, freedom of this, freedom of certain amounts of information, well, what they fed them, as long as you was on the path and it was peer reviewed and part of the system and the Royal Society, etc., how it works in peer review. Which sounds great, but not when you think about how stupefying it really is. How nullifying of creativity it actually is. I don't think this runs too well when you film it. But they had to let certain countries, and like the Five Eyes countries, for instance, yeah, is a perfect example. Going back is a perfect example to illustrate. I don't need Google Maps, this has done it for me. Right, one little point there. Israel have got to have a hand in this. And I'm sure I won't have to dig too far to find out how they're linked in with Israel as well. I can promise you, I remember reading it, I just can't remember the details, so but trust me, not trust me, as soon as someone says that, don't trust them, that just slipped out there. You know what I mean? I'm still totally part indoctrinated, even though I've been aware for most of my life and been fighting against it for most of my life. Part of it's got in there though. I'm human at the end of the day. I seek out other humans at the end of the day, especially when I was younger and that. Now I don't give a fuck, sit on my own for weeks and it doesn't bother me now. But when I was younger I wanted others' company, others' affirmation and stuff. So I did try and go along with things. I tried to like football. I tried to like, I tried. But I just couldn't get enthused about much. Got the point I was going to make about the countries and why we're trying to show you the level of development of countries, how they had to let societies rise to certain levels and what countries they are. Yeah, if you think about it, right, the countries were the thought and what the driving forces of the Industrial Revolution, for the most part, came from them countries, didn't it? There's going to be a lot of people shouting and screaming at me, but like fly and electric and what we're led to believe, and the political systems, it all came from them 5 original countries, what we've got today running the show, basically. Not including China and that yet, that's a side of the coin, what's a different vlog entirely. Remember, there's 3 sides to a coin, heads, tails, and then there's the side of the coin. And that's the deals on the side. A deal of a deck, and your deals on the side. Heads, tails, and the side. So, they let these countries rise to certain levels, like there was good, well, I say good, right, but there was university levels what would allow you access to knowledge. They had Silicon Valley, didn't they? That's what I was saying, they had to let the minds, and as we had to be friendly to these other countries because they had minds, so we had to either own them outright, create a war in them, or do whatever we needed to do to get into these countries and get out what we wanted from them. Look, third-party contributors, that's Japan, isn't it? And Sri Lanka and stuff like that. Why don't I just have a look? Malaysia, I think. Yeah, Malaysia. Gibraltar, Romania. There's 35 countries listed. Or VPN jurisdiction. Sorry. Right. Just looking at it, they built technology up in these countries. In Europe. Wasn't it? And later on the other countries. But all Europe, all North America, it is. This is about technology, I think. As well as the spying, but the tech. So they needed to let these countries have a happy workforce to certain levels. The people, the populace, had to be a large number of them, and they had to be happy. They controlled a lot of it, and, honestly. That's why we had a national health system, and dink. And now my point is now, in these 5 Eye countries, and the rest of them, bad things never used to happen, especially in the 5 Eyes, the 5 main ones. Bad things didn't happen, did they, often? Of course, in Britain, we had the training exercise for the British Army and the intelligence people, what was Northern Ireland, because we didn't give a shit about it. When I say we, I mean them, not me. I'm not including myself in news, obviously. You know what I mean? It's just term and phrase, which is bad, and I try and look out for it, but I'm trying to also get out my points as well. So, I'm not greatly educated, if at all. So, it's hampered somewhat in my communique. Okay. So, countries like Africa, India, Pakistan, Asia, we all had foots in the door of them anyway, didn't we? And we'd already raped and pillaged out of them. And still the elites of all the rest of the countries were hand in hand with the elites of our countries anyway. They're all the same people anyway. But their countries spied on their people more than other countries. Isn't it weird? It's all universal. What they say it is. Nothing's as it seems. Nothing's for what it seems. Everything's got heads, tails, and then what's the fucking real deal on the side? every fucking time in everything you look at. Everything.